afternoon, not just DuckTales, but everything in the Disney afternoon, you know, is reflected in ways, if as long as you keep watching, pay attention. It's not like Gummy Bears is going to, the Gummy Bears are going to be living next to McDuck Mansion. But when he goes on an adventure for a lost item, maybe there's castle ruins in the background that you see figures of bears covered in ivy and overgrown. And, it'd be that kind of thing. And sometimes it would be blatant that you'll say, they'll actually say, oh, this is the, whatever, fill in the Disney afternoon reference. So, I got teased a lot from talking about separate universes for DuckTales and Darkwing. This is a brand new universe. It's not like, oh, it's the same, now they're together. It's like, no, it's, as I always tell people, and if you listen to a lot of podcasts recently with me on them, I say the same thing. It's like doing a new Sherlock Holmes. If you're going to do a Sherlock Holmes, you do not go to the last show that was made. You go back to the book and you say, oh, I want to make it for today. I want to set it in contemporary times, or I want to do a gender switch, or I'm going to put him in space, or, I'm going to make him a crazier guy. Whatever your spin on it, you go back to the source and create your own show. And that's what these guys have done, still sticking. You're not going to be confused about who's who, but every relationship, it's not just, oh, let's bring that person back. It is, what's our take on that character? What can we bring to it to make them more entertaining for today? And not a twist for the sake of a twist, but what kind of stories can we get out of these?
It sounds like a lot of people are saying the same thing about, say, Spider-Man Homecoming, where they didn't reboot it, but they took it from a different place straight from the comics. And that's what this sounds like here. It's the same mentality. And with the whole DuckTales, Darkwing Duck thing, and Darkwing Duck coming on this show, and trust me, I didn't expect that news, and that was ecstatic for me. I have the Darkwing Duck comic book.
Let me say, I was there. I was literally standing behind the curtain at San Diego during that panel.
Right.
And I have to say, one of the great memories is staying behind the curtain with the cast in front of you, David Tennant, and all of them dancing to the DuckTales theme before they went on stage.
That's awesome.
But anyway, Frank Angonis, who was searching for a clip, never said Darkwing was in the show.
Oh.
Things were seen. People got excited. But he actually never said, so we have to watch the show and see what it's really about.
Gotcha. All right. I see what you did there.
Okay.
But I was going to say, because I know I have Aaron Sparrow on the show a couple of times, and we talked about the comic book. And I have the omnibus and the original comic books here, and it maybe they went to that a little bit for the Ducking Duck and DuckTales, stuff like that, but the comic book is different from the show, which I appreciate. I mean, it's different.
Well, Aaron and James, when they did that comic, they kind of did in their minds, they started the continuity like 3 months after the show ended. Although it's contemporary times, they're not setting it 25 years in the past.
Right.
But their approach was to make it as much like the show as possible in comic form. And I think they pretty much did that. Whereas, I know the guys. Matt Youngsberg is the other producer on the show, who's basically in charge of all the production, all the directors and the art and all that. Although they're a very close team, along with Susanna Olsen, who's their the person who makes sure the show actually gets done. Anyway, they're the trio that runs things. I totally forgot why I brought that up.
The comic book.
That's true. I mean, they are very aware of the modern comic book and what's been done there. But I think, of course, Aaron and James have been doing Darkwing,
right.
Not DuckTales.
Yeah, of course.
So, they're aware of the sensibilities. I know Frank really enjoyed it. and they've visited the studio. Aaron's probably been there more than I have, actually.
Wow.
Dropping the crew. Because he's hard to get rid of. I usually use a wrench or a stick or a lead pipe. And the stick only works if it's got a pointy end. So it's some more poking.
Now I know. Yeah, he's friends with me now. When he messages me a lot, I can't get rid of him either. So that happens. So, no, all joking aside, you were at like you said, you were at the D23 Expo. What was it like for the atmosphere for the Ducktales fans there? Because that was a big atmosphere. I know they had the Muddy Pit, Buddy Bin, and things like that going on. What was the crowd reaction for that there?
I never got over to the Money Bin wherever.
Oh, really?
I don't know where it was. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was huge lines for it.
Yeah, I know.
That was not an easy thing to get to. I gotta say we got in. James was there, and he got in with me, and there was no way we were going to be able to just sit. They made sure we would come in, basically on the exit side. So when the cast came, we went in with them. But there was a huge line, and because we were standing on the opposite hall, we couldn't see it, but people said it kind of stretched outside.
Damn.
But the previous panel was Weird Al Yankovic, and I think there's a lot of crossover because not a lot of people left his. We were watching the crowds coming out, and sure, people left, but not that many. So I think there was a lot of disappointed fans on the other side because there's no way they could, cram everybody into there. I mean, they definitely could have gone with, it was a pretty big room, but there's a even bigger room, I think, before you get to Hall H type stuff.
Yeah.
Which is always insane. Anyway, it's the feeling was, I mean, they played the DuckTales theme and people started singing along to it, as expected. I have to say, and huge applause. Of course, a lot of David Tennant love.
Yeah, of course.
From the Doctor Who fans. But everybody got cheered. And I have to say, when the images of a masked crime fighter came on, I got near tears because to hear, again, I've pointed out to many people, I don't work in movies. I can't go to a movie theater and sit there and hear the reaction of the people around me. We got ratings, but well after a fact, and they're always abstract. You don't know, what does this mean again? Does this mean we're popular enough, or you just said, do I get to do more episodes? I do. Great. That
exactly.
So I, as I said before, I only get to hear reaction from fans from being at conventions, but to hear the response, and plus I knew what was going to happen. The guys had a conceit for people who weren't there that Frank was going to look for a clip that no one else would see on the internet. It would just be for the room. And the plan was he was going to search for it. And as he went through files, you would just see random things. And one of the big surprises there was Magica Dispel design went by. And that got a big reaction.
Wow.
Because fans were saying, why isn't she in the title scenes? Why isn't she in the credits? She's this major,
right,
one of his major villains and all that. And it's because these guys, it's like they're not dumb, and they're probably bigger fans than most of you of the source material. So just the fact that she kind of debuted going by got
I didn't even know about that. I didn't hear about that till just now. That's actually, wow, it got me. It popped me.
God, I shouldn't have said anything.
No, it's fine. That popped me.
Anyway, when it got to the Darkwing images, it was just they told me it was just going to be one image that goes by, and they were going to go by super fast and refuse to go back because they're devious that way.
Of course.
But instead they had several images, and the audience reaction exploded, but then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. and they held it on under the conceit that the buttons weren't working or something. And it really affected me. It was not about me. It was about this character that I'd created with my staff, with my crew, that we had worked so hard on. And, it was our little bit of Disney history. And to hear that reaction was overwhelming. Had I been in the audience, I probably would have lost it. I wouldn't have been able to take it actually sitting amongst it. But behind the curtain, I could compose myself. But it was fantastic. It was the whole panel people were charged for, and every clip they saw was, got them excited, and the images, and the guys put on a great panel. And of course the cast was doing great too. So I mean it was all the cliches, electrifying. It was super exciting. Just to feel all that positive thing. Even like I was saying, when I was at Denver Comic-Con, there were only 2 people that kind of said, I don't know, I'm a big fan of the old show. And one, when I started talking to him about the new show, and again, to be clear, I'm not on the show. You're
a fan like the rest of us.
I'm a super fan because I love everything the guys have shown me, and it hasn't been that much. But like everybody else, I've watched the clips online and stuff like that, and then I know how they approach story and things like that, and I'm super excited. So there's only, when I talked as a fan to this, the 2 people, one guy said, "Wow, I'm gonna check that out." The other person, I could not turn from the dark side. She will go on and literally had her nose up in the air as she talked about it, and I said, okay, well, enjoy. I bet you she watches.
It is funny because I know a lot of people have issues with remakes, and then it's a general statement, and I trust Disney. I think I just trust them more than other companies because it is fans doing this stuff. I think I said the same thing about Mary Poppins Returns, where I didn't want to do it. And then I started taking pictures, and I see who was doing it, and I know they're all fans, and now I'm in. I'm in. It's the same mentality here. It's like, it's fans.
Well, let's think of it this way. I did not make Chip and Dale. I made them talk. I put them in clothes. Mm-hmm. None of that was from Chip and Dale. So it's like, all these people who love the Rescue Rangers, it's like, guys, I treated them as actors. I recast them in a new format, still hopefully keeping the essence of what their personalities seem to be. So, and Ducktales was an interpretation of Donald and his family from the comics. When Donald showed up, he wasn't animated the same. He looked a little different. It was, all that was a reboot of a kind. But it's like, yes, that was your childhood that you're holding on to. A lot of people, I really like the design style. It just feels fresh. And as soon as you've watched like all the clips online, it
makes sense now.
That's the style.
Yeah.
It's just like you're used to it. And that's why I tell people who stumble over that, because I think the art direction on the show is incredible. The whole comic book sensibility of the Zipatone, dot, those are the little dots that you would see in old newspaper strips for shading. That's actually been incorporated into the backgrounds. You're going to get used to it. Just watch the opening. You're going to get an hour episode of DuckTales, and by the end of the hour you'll be sucked in, you'll be in it. So it's to me it's a new version. If I loved again, going back to Sherlock Holmes, if I loved Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock, it doesn't mean I can't enjoy Elementary on CBS, or even Robert Downey Jr. or Basil Rathbone back in the day. I can enjoy all of those interpretations. Everybody has their favorite James Bond. It doesn't mean that the other Bonds aren't just as exciting or as acceptable.
Exactly. You know what's funny?
Sorry
I was
about that. In the background, I've got this crazy office going on here.